The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by the Elite Experience, Elite Shotguns, and is fueled by Fiocchi.
Paul?
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Guy Fieri.
How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Anthony Matarese Jr., how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Welcome back, David Radulovich.
That's a net positive of 30 minutes. Brad Kidd.
Corey Cruz, thank you for joining us this evening.
Now I feel awkward.
With your hosts, Jason Rambo
One more Red Bull for you.
and Sean Alley.
Woo, yeah!
Christmas.
Let's do it!
Often imitated but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast. And now, it's showtime.
What's up, Large and in charge?
Jason Rambo, doing well. How about yourself, my man?
I'm doing all right. I'm really excited about this podcast tonight. I have been chasing the NSSF, National Shooting Sports Foundation, for a couple of years now, and they finally got around to where they got something to talk about. So this is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to kind of hear some of the numbers behind, some of the statistics behind our sport and other shooting sports that involves breaking those little orange targets that we love to shoot at. Yeah,
for sure. Sean, what's been going on with you, man? You shooting?
Well, March is one of those weird months, Jason, where, in Ohio, you go from 50 degrees one day to 20 and snowing the next. So it's been really hit and miss. Shot a couple tournaments here this year, but, they haven't been great. I mean, I've dealt with wind, I've dealt with cold. So, in another month here, things should kind of even out to a certain degree. But you know how difficult it is to try to keep consistent going outside and shooting, especially when the weather's not being very nice. But I'm sure you're not dealing with that too much down there.
Is it cold up there, Sean?
Stop it. Just stop it.
Oh, it's all on how bad you want it, my friend. It's all on how bad you want it. So
never going to get old, is it, Jason?
No, it's not. Now, I do have a request from you, though, Sean.
All right.
You normally do the tourney talk, but I am so excited and wound up about this tournament we're about to announce. Do you mind if I had the floor on this one?
Dude, go ahead. You tell me when, and I'll give you the little lead in here.
Go for it.
It's Tourney Talk. Brought to you by Score Chaser.
All right, folks, here it is, the 2024 Dead Pair Blast. We've had a lot of people write us about this. It will be December 4th through the 8th. It should be up on Score Chaser today, no later than, I think, 11 a.m. is what they said. The main will be Saturday and Sunday, 200 birds, $100 back to class. Prelim, Thursday or Friday, 100 birds, $50 back to class. Super Sporting is 50 birds, it's $25 back to class. Fee Task, 100 birds, $50 back to class. 5 stand, 50 birds, it's $25 back to class. And one last little teaser. We will be giving out one main event entry to this event by way of a drawing. We haven't quite figured out yet. Sean and I need to hash back and forth how we're going to do this, but we'll have the details here in another week or so of how you could win a free entry into the event. But that is Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports for the Dead Pair Blast, December 4th through the 8th. Hope to see everybody there. We will have sponsored packages available. If anybody wants to contact us, or you can even contact Vero Beach directly, Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports, talk to Brian Palmer or Ashley Casperson. They'd be happy to help you with that, or you can contact us and we'll get you over some packages, see which one fits your bill. We're currently working with all of our sponsors to try and put something together from them, just like they did last year. That was awesome. Hopefully we're going to see some of them down there. I know Rhino was there. They were there competing last year, Sean.
That's right.
So, and they had a blast and said they'd be back. But we're going to go even better than what we did last year on the food. Hopefully have a lot of cool giveaways for you and have some vendors there this year. So, yeah, Dead Pair Blast 2024, baby. It's on.
Yeah, we've been waiting a long time to announce that, so I don't doubt why you were so excited to get that out there.
Yep, and of course, these two numbnuts here on the podcast are going to be setting the targets, but it's going to be a big one, Sean. We got a work cut out for us. 200 bird main, and let's see here. We got 100 bird fee tasks, 50 bird super sporting, 100 bird feed task, so
100
you're
bird
looking
prelim.
at,
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
yeah, 3, 4, 500 targets a set. Yeah, it's gonna be
500
fun.
possible targets. Yeah, that's a lot more than we did last year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, listen, that's all we have for Tourney Talk this week, but we will keep updating you. Big, huge shout out to all of our sponsors. Vero Beach, here we go. Dead Pair Blast, home of the Dead Pair Blast, home of the Caribbean Cup. Elite Shotguns, of course, they're on site there. Stop in there and get you a fine looking shooting iron, Sean Alley.
Yes, they have some nice ones there.
Kolars, the best.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, we feed our guns with Fiocchi ammunition. Dr. Grace Sturdivant coming on to answer all your questions. She will be on here in another episode or two, so stick around for that one. Odo Pro Technologies, we love us some Odo Pro. Of course, Rhino chokes, as we said, they'll be a present and counted for. Love our barrel porting, love our chokes. Atlas traps, the best. American-made Atlas traps, all made right here in the United States. Give me a call, give me an email. I'm easy to get a hold of. All over social media. Contact me through this podcast if you want to, or send me an email at rambo@reagan.com. Rambo, REAGAN.com. I can help you out if you need any kind of Atlas equipment. Of course, Don Grant keeps these two noodles in line. Taconic Distillery. Sean Alley, which one are you enjoying yet tonight?
That maple is something else, man. I tell you what, if you guys can try that
You're
maple.
still stuck on the maple like me, yeah.
I'm telling you what, dude, that's delicious. I got some ideas on some new stuff I want to try, but that maple is just hard to put down.
Awesome. Of course, we see our targets further, see them faster, see them clearer with RE Ranger. And we would be remiss, again, if we did not mention Score Chaser. That's how we sign up for all of our targets. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us. I apologize if people are tired of hearing us talk about this, but hey, these people stand behind us. They support us. They give us what we need to keep bringing you episodes every week. So we hope that you're patronizing these sponsors and finding the value in them like we do. Sean Alley, we are talking to Mr. Joe Bartozzi tonight. He is the president and CEO of the NSSF.
Yep. He's going to have some big news for everybody, and I think it's going to be an eye-opener.
Man, they do this survey once every couple years, and it's shocking every time it comes out just how many people shoot at clay targets. But what's really cool? I'm going to ask him. I don't know, but I think they broke it down between like trap, skeet, and sporting. Mm-hmm. And it's always interesting to see that dynamic of where, who's competing in what more, right? So,
right.
You know what? I don't want to wait any longer. Let's get this man on the phone.
Do it.
The Dead Pair.
All right. Joining us on the phone, Joe Bartozzi, president and CEO of the NSSF. How you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Joe, I'm excited about this. Like I told you on the phone earlier, I mean, we've been trying to snag somebody from the NSSF. We know how busy y'all are over there, and we finally got our schedules to meet up. So,
sir,
this is exciting.
I'm glad to be here.
For our listeners, Joe, can you mind giving them a little bit of background? Where are you from, and how did you kind of get started in shooting sports way back when?
Yeah, well, I live in Connecticut. I've been here all my life. Like most kids, I grew up with a BB gun. Me and my dad out in the backyard. My uncle was the gun guy in the family. He had a rifle and a couple of shotguns. We'd go out and plink around. He'd throw some, hand throw some clay targets so we can just get a feel for breaking things. But I really started shooting trap probably when I was 20, give or take, years old, and got hooked on that. Shot a lot of trap. Shot registered trap for years. I did go to work for a company that had a pistol team, believe it or not. Showed you how long ago that was. But we actually competed against some area companies, including Ruger, Sikorsky, some of the bigger companies back down in southern Connecticut. And so I really got involved in handgun shooting competition as well. But mostly I shot trap for many, many years and really enjoyed it.
Gotcha.
Well, while we're talking history lesson here, tell us about the NSSF and how it came to be.
Yeah, in 1961, the organization called the Sporting Arms and Ammunition Manufacturers Institute, better known as SAMI. Some of you may have heard of that. It's the standard setting organization. So, for example, chambers, new cartridge introductions, drop test safety, interchangeability standards. Those are all SAMI standards that have been going on since 1926. But in 1961, the board of SAMI came together and decided they wanted to create an organization that would do more to promote hunting and the shooting sports, and become more or less the communication arm of SAMI. And that's how it started. And the mission was then to promote, protect, and preserve hunting and the shooting sports. And we live by that message today.
Gotcha. Well, Joe, can you tell us a little bit about what is the day-to-day agenda, or what do you guys do pretty much day in and day out at the NSSF?
Right. What I tell people is I like to focus on three things. It just makes it easier for me to keep it straight in my mind. But basically, we advocate on behalf of the firearm and ammunition industry. We communicate all the things that the industry does. We represent the 390,000 U.S. employees of the gun industry. We get out education training, compliance training. So we do a lot in the communication area. And again, we also do a lot in the education area, where we educate firearm retailers, whether it be OSHA, whether it be ATF, business practices. We are a trade association, so we are here to promote the businesses, to represent the businesses on Capitol Hill and around the states. We tout the economic benefits to the various states by having either firearm manufacturers, distributors, retailers, ranges in their home state or district. So we do an awful lot on the political side, and of course then on the business side with our SHOT Show every year being the biggest celebration, if you will, of our industry that the world knows. So it's a big part of what we do to get the message out about our industry.
Gotcha. So specifically, what is your role, and give us a little backstory about how you became involved with the NSSF?
Well, currently I'm the president and CEO. I started with NSSF in 2009 as a member of the board of governors. So I was still working for Mossberg at the time. I spent 32 years at Mossberg, but I became a member of the board of governors. I was elected in 2009. And then in 2018, I was on the search committee for a new president. When their president and CEO was about to retire, we convened a search committee to find the next person to take that job. And oddly enough, the recruiting firm that we hired said that the people they talked to thought I'd be the right person for the job, and I thought they were pulling my leg. And I said, "Look, I've been at Mossberg 32 years. I really love my job. I'm not inclined to leave." But having been on the board for nearly 10 years at that point, and being the chairman of the finance committee, I had a pretty good idea, a good feel for the people that were there, for the mission that they were accomplishing. And I thought it might be an opportunity for me to see what I can do for an entire industry as opposed to for one company. And so I decided to take the plunge. And again, I started there in September of 2018 as the president. And then in 2020, took on the title of president and CEO.
Wow, this sounds familiar to my vice president position with the OSCA.
Doesn't it though?
It's like, well, who are we going to get to do this? Oh, I'm nominated. Great, But one of the things we're excited about, and of course, this is a Sport and Clay podcast, so we're a little biased, Joe, on which one of the shooting sports we like best. But one of the things we're excited about is that you have some survey information. Something we talked about a lot in terms of, how many people are busting clay targets every year, all that kind of stuff. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, we do. Since 2009, I believe, or 2010, we've been doing surveys every other year on shooting sports participation, demographics of shooters, things like it's a very deep dive into all things shooting sports related. What are people using? Why are they using these types of firearms? What are they doing with them, and so on? And so the latest data we have indicates that there are a lot of people breaking clay targets. We estimate, based upon the latest information we have, that at least 24.1 million people engage in some form of clay target shooting. And that's, it's about, equally split. Sporting clays has a little bit of an edge over skeet based upon our latest data. Trap comes up a little behind those other two disciplines. But there were 15.3 million people that identified as shooting sporting clays during the last time we did the survey, which was about the end of 22, beginning of 23.
Wow.
So it's a big, big number.
That
Of
is
course,
awesome.
there are a lot of people like me that cross into all three disciplines in any given year. So the numbers don't, if you added them all up, they wouldn't make sense. But looking at people that identify as shooting trap, skeet, or sporting clays, it's a massive number. And going back just 10 years, the number has grown enormously in the shooting sports. The other thing we do know is of the new shooters, that is people that have been shooting for less than 5 years, we categorize them as new shooters. 30% of those are engaged in the sporting clay or the clay target shooting sports. So 30% of all new shooters gravitate towards the clay target sports, which is, I think it's phenomenal.
That's exciting because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you can help me out here. It may have been the tabulated data that came out in 22, so that would have been for 2020. I think that number was like 13 million or 15 million or something like that. It was way, way less than 24 million.
That's correct. It was 18.7 million, I think it was. But it's the latest data we have. It's 24.1 million. Again, we're doing another survey this summer to kind of keep the cycle going. But we use not only the data we get from the 22 survey, but also we do anecdotally with our members, reaching out and doing more informal surveys to try and get more up to date numbers. But it's a good number. It's a big number, and it's going up, which is very exciting.
So if 24 million people break a clay target every year, whether it's and I'm gonna assume, let's not assume. Let me ask. That's based on everything from recreational shooters to competitive shooters to whatever, right? Or just out in the backyard, right?
It's based upon people that have responded to the survey in one form or another. They're breaking clay targets. Now we have it broken down by trap, skeet, and sporting clays. There may be other that maybe get caught up in one category or another, but we do define those three categories specifically in the survey.
So the next question is that where do you find all these people to survey? I mean, is this door to door or do you mail something out? I mean, tell us how the survey is conducted.
We hire a company that does this sort of thing. They're specialists. They do it by phone interviews. They may do some electronic online now, like via email, but I think mostly it's phone. And the survey is a couple of hundred pages long. And I could dig into that specifically how they do it, but this is what they do for a living. They do a lot of stuff, not only with us, but also with, for example, the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies regarding hunting, fishing, trapping, things like that. So they are specialists in the outdoor space when it comes to doing these type of scientific analyses.
Well, Joe, let me ask this, and maybe one of the most important questions. Are you guys seeing sustained growth in clay shooting sports like all across the board, or is certain disciplines growing faster than others, or what are you guys coming up with?
What I'm seeing in looking at the data, that sporting clays seems to be growing faster than the others. Trap seems to be pretty stable. Skeet is growing a little bit, but I would say looking at the data going back even just 10 years, the number of sporting clay shooters has about doubled, whereas trap and skeet have been they're going up, but fairly stable and a nice progression, but nothing like we see in sporting clays over the last 10 years.
Gotcha.
Well, without knowing the algorithm or whatever that they use, you said it's scientific based. Is there anything within the survey that points a finger as to what's contributing to the growth of all shooting sports, not just clay target sports?
Well, we do know that there are about 18 million what we call new shooters just in the last 3 years alone, 3 to 4 years. We've had 18 million first-time gun buyers come into the sport. Now, much of that, of course, has been the self-defense model, if you will. That is, they're gravitating towards handguns for self-defense, personal defense, home protection, things like that. So that's a big part of the first-time gun owners. For example, we're seeing more African Americans as a percentage as new shooters. People that identify politically as Democrats up way up in the last couple of years. Hispanic, Latino, female shooters. So across the board, the shooting sports is looking more like America itself. which is, a nice melting pot of all sorts of walks of life, gender, of course, and race. So that's a very inclusive thing, and we love to see that. I think, but the other thing is, like once people do it, it's really fun. I remember,
Yeah.
like if you break a clay target, there's that instant gratification. Like punching paper is great. I punched paper for years. I still do. But when you see a target break, there's something about that, and I think people enjoy it. They gravitate towards it if they're taught properly. You don't give them too much gun right out of the gate. If you do it right, you have a sport for life, and people of all physical capacities can engage in the shooting sports, and they do. So I think that's probably the best way I can answer that without going back through the 200 pages and see if I could pull out the exact reasons. But there's an
Yeah.
awful lot of moving parts when it comes to shooting sports and gun ownership at this moment in history, based a lot on politics, frankly. So
Well, we used to say anybody from 8 to 80 can participate, and we've been corrected in that. We
Yes,
just had an
yes, we
episode
have.
we had an episode not too long ago. Gentleman's 85 years old and started shooting sporting clays, and he
Wow.
just ate up with it. I mean, every tournament I go to down here in Florida, I seen, and he's having a ball. He's having the time of his life. So, I think it's, and then that's something too that not just sporting clays. It's all forms of shooting sports. And we, like I said, we're biased because we're a sporting clays podcast, but we try to emphasize that as long as you follow the rules of safety, this is statistically the safest sport in the world. I mean,
we know absolutely.
my favorite example of this, and you know this, Joe, is the SCTP. There's 3,500 kids across, what is it, Sean, like 16 days or something like that,
Yep.
fire over 1 million rounds and nobody leaves with so much as a Band-Aid. You can't
Yeah.
show me a high school football game that happens on Friday night like that. So,
No, that's true.
the safety factor is there. The enjoyment, obviously, everybody loves blowing up a clay target, right? They love that feeling they get when they see that thing burst in the air. And the safety factor, I mean, it's got to be somewhat of a contributing factor, I would think.
The U.S. Clay Target League, which is primarily a school-based clay target shooting program, they are the fastest growing high school sport in the country. So there's something to it, and you say it's safer than any other recreational high school sport out there. Maybe not the chess club, but pretty darn close. So it's something that is appealing. Young people are gravitating towards. I think that's where you're seeing the uptick in these survey numbers, where people are going, and their parents are tagging along, and before you know it, they get involved. I remember when I was doing a merit badge council work for my son's Boy Scout troop, some of the other counselors urged me to do the shotgun merit badge for the troop, and I was a little bit nervous because our town is fairly blue, fairly liberal, and you never know how people are going to react when you talk about guns, especially with
Right.
kids. All right. But I'll tell you, when I offered that merit badge course, I had to turn kids away. And when it came time to do the qualification shoot for their badge, even the parents wanted to come and participate and shoot. And it shocked me. It shocked me, the level of engagement, the level of responsibility these young scouts showed, and how much they enjoyed being out there, learning about safety, and actually breaking targets, and earning a merit badge for doing so. It was just the most gratifying thing I think I can remember as an instructor, as a range safety officer. That was the highlight, I think, of things I've done.
That is so cool.
Joe, I don't want to go off on a political tangent, but since you kind of said the word, the NSSF, do you guys get a lot of flack from the anti-gun groups and so on and so forth, like the NRA does?
Yeah, we do. What we're seeing, especially now, with the NRA kind of being out of pocket for various reasons and tied up in protracted litigation, the anti-gun groups are definitely turning their attention not only to NSSF but to other groups, and they go ahead and they talk about how we help gun companies with their profitability, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, we're a trade association. That's what we're supposed to be doing, and our work on Capitol Hill to protect the jobs, and by the way, the Pittman Robertson excise tax dollars that go to fund conservation throughout this country. we fight hard to protect those things, and we fight hard to tell the truth about stats like accidental injuries with firearms are at an all-time low. They don't ever tell you about that, but that's true. And we've spent decades, years and years and years, promoting firearm safety, secure storage. Our Project Child Safe program is in its 25th year this year. We've given away over 41 million safety kits, which include a gun lock. We have safety videos and training courses on our website for free that anybody can come and use, and hundreds of thousands of people every year go to the website and get trained up in secure storage and safe handling of firearms, including our Hunt Safe program. So, I mean, these are all the things that we do to educate consumers and our members and, frankly, save lives. But, all we catch is the flack from the political side. And you know what? I'm not going to apologize for doing my job. The Second Amendment is a right that everyone deserves to enjoy. And if I'm doing a part to help protect that right, well, then I'm happy to suffer the slings and arrows, as it were, from some of these people that hate the Second Amendment and hate guns and hate people that like guns. So whatever.
Well, and that's kind of the direction I was going because, to me and Jason, we both grew up in rural Ohio. So, we learned how to hunt and all that fun stuff like most farm kids do. And then we got into the sporting end of things or breaking clays and whatnot. The typical rhetoric you hear on the TV is guns are bad and there's mass shootings and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But, when you really start to look at the high schools, the 4-H clubs, the different conservation clubs that are out there that have youth programs, I mean, there's so much good that comes from them because we've gone to the national SCTPs is every year at Cardinal Sporting, which is literally half an hour from my house. And you go there and like Jason said, there's like 3,500 kids plus all their parents and relatives and brothers, sisters and all that stuff. And all these kids are walking around with guns and there's not a problem. And we've met most of these kids where you would be amazed. It's like, this is the youth of America. Yes, it is. I mean, it's yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. They're very polite, very safety-minded. I mean, these are great kids, and the parents are doing a great job educating them about gun safety and responsibility. I don't think there's anything better that you could actually do for a kid is to show him how to take care of a firearm and show him the responsibilities involved and how much fun it can be if it's used properly, right?
Absolutely. We had done some surveys on this very thing some years ago, and we find that kids that grow up understanding and respecting firearms actually are better in school because they've got a sense of responsibility and a sense of control, that other kids may not have. They have this respect for the power, all right, but they understand the importance of being safe and being responsible around firearms. So we see this as not unusual. We also understand that there are two realities, right? There is a criminal element that creates a bad name, gives a bad name to anyone that exercises the right to shoot, recreational shooting, and so how do we deal with that? We try to hit them with education. We try to show the facts. Now I know because an article just came out literally just yesterday by one of the anti-gun groups, basically creating false facts. Now you're entitled to an opinion, but you're not entitled to make up facts as you go along. And so we're actually putting a blog out that's going to refute some of these things today or tomorrow. So it's like no matter what you do, they're trying to twist the truth. And I tell people if they have to lie about their positions, how solid are their positions really? Mm-hmm. The fact that the media may not fact check them all the time, that's their problem. But we do fact check, and there are some whoppers going on out there that just keep pounding these lies like to get people to believe it. But we know it's not true, and you're right. Kids with guns, if they're handled responsibly and they're taught properly, it's a good combination, and it's a responsible combination for years to come.
Well, one of the things that drives me nuts, you hear it all the time, is gun violence. There's no such thing as gun violence. There's only violence. Whether they use a bat, a baseball bat, a tire iron, or a gun, there's no such. I mean, listen, I've got all kinds of guns. I've never seen them once jump up by themselves and do something violently. So, anyway, what's that? Yeah.
I say the gun is the only part of the equation that doesn't have a mind. It is an inanimate object. Okay, it's only how it's used that defines it. And you can't define a product by its worst use.
Right.
Otherwise, airplanes, after 9/11 would be banned. So
Right.
anyway.
So, hey, on to something a little bit more fun to talk about. You were telling me that you've had some very well-known shooters come through the NSSF program. You want to brag about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the SCTP program we started in 2001, spun it off, but Vincent Hancock, multiple gold medal winner, he was a participant in the SCTP, and he actually gave a shout out to NSSF for that program, giving him a better and more thorough competitive environment. Right, his first really competitive target experience was with the SCTP, and now look at him today. He's a multiple gold medalist, and we also had Corey Cogdell, women trap shooter, multiple medalist in Olympics and World Cup competitions. She came through the program as well, and she's a great representative for the sport. And again, we're very proud to have started something that has helped those folks excel, and we're very, very happy and proud of it.
Well, Joe, let me ask you this. If somebody's listening to this podcast and thinking they would like to get more involved with the NSSF, what can they do? How can they reach out? Where do they need to look?
I would say probably the best place to start, because we're really talking about the shooting sports aspect of it, is letsgoshooting.org. That's Let's Go Shooting, LETS Go Shooting.org. And there is a link to all of our dozens and dozens of training videos and materials, how to get involved with the various organizations, whether it be TRAPS, IDPA, IPSC, any of those things. So there's all kinds of links there. And there's also a link back to the main NSSF website, where we have a lot of our safety programs, our education components, our online university, again, Project Child Safe, suicide prevention programs that we run. Are all found on the NSSF.org website. But probably the best way to start for your audience is letsgoshooting.org. It's a great website. It has a where to shoot locator. So if you're looking for a range in your area, you click on that and you can dial in what type of shooting you want to do. And it'll give you locations on a map as to where you can do that sort of thing. So it's a really very, very popular and, how can I say this, effective website for getting people involved in shooting sports.
Well, Sean and I tell everybody, and I'm going to steal our tagline from the end of the show, Sean, so you can't say it later, but we tell everybody every week, take someone new shooting, take them to a tournament, get them out there, get a gun in their hand, teach them how to shoot safely and break some clay targets. And, I don't know, maybe, hopefully Sean and I have some little small part in these new clay target shooters. We keep pushing it every week, and we love what the NSSF is doing, and we hope that we're helping somehow, and anything we can do to work with you guys, Joe, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to have you back on, whether it's an event or maybe it's a program or something you guys are starting, you want to talk to our audience about. We'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, I think you guys are great ambassadors for the sport. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. And we do have a mentorship program that maybe we could do some work together on, and get more people out shooting and breaking targets. So I really appreciate that, and we'll take you up on that, and we'll keep in touch for sure.
Very cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Joe. I know our schedules, we finally got to mesh up, and now I got your cell phone number, so you can't escape. But
the pleasure's mine. I really enjoy this. And thank you for having me again. It was really fun.
Thank you, Joe. Well, we appreciate you. You guys have a great night.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
The Dead Pair.
Well, Jason, I'm blown away. I mean, seriously, who'd have ever thought that over 24 million people in this country break clay targets? I mean, seriously, dude, that's awesome. A huge number, right? So we're not the only we're not the only idiots that are hook, line, and sinker over doing this. Then,
I just think it's so fascinating to hear how, he said in the last one they did was 2020, and it's gone up over 6 million people since then. That's 6 million new shooters in this country. Now, we'll have to do our homework to get them to go shoot some tournaments, but at least they're out there breaking clay targets. I mean, that is just I love hearing it.
Well, and everybody hates the whole COVID situation, but I almost have some thoughts that while everybody was on lockdown and everybody was trying to find things to do outdoors, whether it was camping or fishing or, riding a four-wheeler or something like that, I'm sure there was a lot of people that were brought into the sport because they were looking for something to do, right? I mean, that was a very busy time for us traveling around. There were still people doing tournaments and stuff. And, the thing that stuck with me more than anything, and I know you picked up on this too, is that sporting clays moved into the top spot as far as how many people are shooting it. You know what I mean? And it beat trap and skeet.
It warms my heart because trap fell to 3 on the 1, 2, 3, and now I got something to throw at Ricky Marshall the next time we talk to him. So
yeah, definitely.
God love you, Ricky. We love you, buddy.
Yeah, no doubt.
We love you, buddy. We love our sporting clays
I
too.
thought that was very interesting, and I see that a lot of people find the same appeal that we do with it. It's a very dynamic sport. All ages, all women, men, kids. I mean, it's amazing, man. I mean, it's probably one of the most even playing fields that you can go compete in. It doesn't matter if you're big or small or fast or strong or whatever. It all has to do with your eye-hand coordination. And hey, can you just connect with the bird?
Right. Exactly. I just gotta wonder, Sean, what do we tell everybody every week?
Well, the old rhetoric of take somebody new shooting, take them to a tournament, take them to a charity event, just basically get a gun in their hand and show them how much fun it is to break a target.
I just wonder if we had some kind of small part in that.
I can't imagine we didn't have something to do with it. Now, how big of a part, I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, how could you ever measure it, right? But it just, I hope we did. I mean, that's our whole mission statement. That's what we're doing this for, is to try and grow the sport that we love. So, all you people listening to this can help us out with that.
That's right.
Again, Dead Pair Challenge, 1 person a month. Take them out shooting, take them to a tournament. I am going to say this, and I don't want to dive too deep into this because it's an easy rabbit hole to get into in light of all the crap that's going on with social media right now. Make sure the number one thing when you take them out shooting for the first time is teach them safety.
Right.
And the other thing I'm going to add to that is if you see something, say something. You don't have to be a jerk. You don't have to be mean. But, man, make sure everybody's actions are kept open. If they're not in the box standing there ready to shoot, it's over under, it should be broke open. If it's an automatic, it should be open. I don't care, even if they're taking a pump gun, it should be open at all times.
Right.
And keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. Now, look, everybody that's listening to this, it's a tournament shooter. This is rhetorical, right? It's not, though. If you're taking somebody new shooting, they don't know.
That's right.
That's
right.
So let's make sure we're getting the safety point across.
Absolutely. Because it's safe, it's fun, and, we just want to try to prevent accidents from happening. Bottom line.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to everybody that's listening to this. We love you all. And Sean Alley, until next week, my friend.
We can't wait to see you back here on the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair. The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotguns and Vero Beach Clay Shooting and is fueled by Fiocchi USA. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Special thanks to the following sponsors: Rhino, Odo Pro, Dawn Grant, Atlas Trap Company, and R.E. Ranger.